People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions?
Yeah.
Like you said, and it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say on The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright. But the problem with her is that she went full racist.
Welcome back to AllStarBuzz. Thank you for joining us, and let's begin. Sunny Hostin, one of the most outspoken and polarizing figures on The View, recently found herself at the center of a scandal so ironic it could have been pulled straight from a satirical novel. Known for her fiery takes on race, reparations, and identity politics, Sunny has built her career on calling out racial injustice. Loud, confident, and often morally self-assured, she's positioned herself as a voice of moral authority. So, when she appeared on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show where celebrities uncover their family history, viewers expected her personal story to perfectly align with her public persona.
After all, for someone so vocal about racial justice, you'd think
Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in Sunny Hostin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice. Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the descendant of slave owners from...
she'd have her own family history figured out, right? Wrong. What Sunny uncovered on that show was absolutely jaw-dropping, leaving both her and the internet in total disbelief.
But before we dive into the juicy drama, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any of the latest Hollywood gossip.
As Sunny sat across from renowned genealogist Henry Louis Gates Jr., ready to explore the mysteries of her ancestry, she had no idea the bombshell waiting for her would turn her world upside down. It turns out her ancestors weren't struggling immigrants.
Oh, I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was, my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
Yeah. So how are you feeling, my friend?
I think it's actually pretty interesting that my husband and I have shared roots.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate that. And I think it's great for our children to know this information. I guess it's a fact of life that this is how some people made their living, on the backs of...
or oppressed minorities. No, they were slave owners. That's right. Sunny Hostin, the woman who spent years fighting for reparations and condemning the legacy of slavery, discovered that her own family directly benefited from the very system she's been denouncing. Her reaction? Pure shock, awkward silence, and a moment of undeniable discomfort. Sunny blinked, clearly struggling to process the revelation. "I didn't think my family was originally from Spain or slaveholders," she stammered, almost as if the words felt foreign coming out of her mouth. For a brief moment, the room went dead silent. An awkward pause so heavy you'd swear your TV had frozen.
People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions?
Yeah.
Like you said, and it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say on The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright. But the problem with her is that she went full racist. She injected skin color into a fairly generic behavior seen in all spouses, regardless of skin color. People marry, they listen to each other, they have something in common with them, they share their political views. She just didn't want to upset her husband by saying her husband makes her do everything, and then she'd have to accuse him of being a racist. Because if he told her that this is what white women do, then he's a racist.
Being the professional that she is, Sunny tried to salvage the moment, muttering something about how this would be an interesting tidbit for her kids to learn. But let's be real, the damage was already done. And of course, it didn't take long for Fox News' Greg Gutfeld to jump in on the fun. If irony had a trophy, Greg just snagged it. Kicking off his segment with a punchline that hit hard, he quipped, "Sunny Hostin's ancestors were slave owners. That's like finding out a vegan secretly owns a barbecue joint." The audience erupted in laughter, and Greg wasted no time digging into the layers of hypocrisy.
Sunny's been quick to call out others for their past mistakes, but when it came to her own history, there's a glaring double standard,
He pointed out.
Next time Sunny pulls the race card on The View, someone's gonna remind her. At least we're not slave owner racists.
But it wasn't all about the laughs. Greg also took aim at what many found troubling, Sunny's complete lack of accountability. Instead of offering any kind of apology or deeper reflection on her family's past, she dismissed,
Quote, a lens of empathy. Debate highlights ableism in politics. Pat Fetterman can do for disability what Obama did for race.
Say what?
See, because when all else fails, use identity politics. But MSNBC's Lawrence O'Donnell went a step further.
it as just a fact of life. Naturally, social media went wild as soon as the revelation hit the airwaves. Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok exploded with reactions, many of them hilarious. One tweet read, "Sunny Hostin finding out her family were slave owners is the plot twist of the year." And of course, the memes came flooding in. One of the most viral was a mock-up of Sunny with the caption, "Reparations? Let me write that check to myself real quick." Some of Sunny's fans rushed to her defense, arguing that she shouldn't be held accountable for her ancestors'
These elites are so isolated, they've forgotten that most Americans don't get paid to sit in a comfy chair pontificating about everything all day. Nope, some of us are cameramen whose names I don't know. But maybe one day when we finally strip away this phony race war, it will finally expose this elite mentality. And we'll find out Sunny is just like Marie Antoinette, except she says, let me eat cake.
actions. But others weren't so forgiving.
It's not about blaming her for what her ancestors did.
One commenter wrote,
It's about the hypocrisy of shaming others while ignoring the skeletons in your own closet.
Greg Gutfeld didn't stop at Sunny. He used the moment to critique the broader issue of identity politics, suggesting that it oversimplifies complex issues.
This is what happens when you focus so much on race,
He said,
You lose sight of the individual, the context, the nuance, and eventually, it backfires, just like it did for Sunny.
He also emphasized the importance of personal responsibility.
It's not about who your ancestors were, it's about what you do today.
For you, Phil.
I make fun of The View a lot, but that's only because they keep talking. Those hens are always clucking. They get to say stupid stuff for an hour every day, and then I get to say stupid stuff for an hour every day, except on purpose. But every now and then, one of those dingbats inadvertently says something that reveals modern liberal thought so perfectly, it deserves further study. You know, like a weird serpent that washed up on the beach and you want to poke it with a stick.
Years, Sunny's been lecturing others. Maybe now it's time for her to take a long, hard look in the mirror.
Greg added. This whole situation raises important questions about how we handle historical accountability. Should someone like Sunny, who frequently condemns others for their ancestors' actions, be held to the same standard? Or is it enough to simply acknowledge the past without letting it define you? Greg's panel had a field day with this one. One co-host joked, "If Sunny's been shaming descendants of slave owners, does she now have to shame herself?" Another added, "It's funny how wrapped up she is in identity politics. Turns out she didn't even know who she was." While the internet had a blast at Sunny's expense, some pointed out that this could have been a turning point for her. Instead of brushing it off as just a fact of life, she could have used the revelation as an opportunity to spark a more nuanced conversation about history, identity, and the complexities of her own family's past. Imagine if Sunny had said, "I've learned something surprising about my family, and it's making me rethink how I approach these conversations." But instead, it was just a shrug and a quick pivot. Even her co-hosts on The View seemed unsure how to react. Whoopi Goldberg, known for her sharp humor, might have been holding back a quip like,
Sunny, do you want me to get you coffee? Or should we ask your slave-holding ancestors for a refill?
At the end of the day,
this isn't just about Sunny. It's a cautionary tale about the dangers of self-righteousness and the importance of humility. History is complicated, messy, and often uncomfortable, and none of us are free from its shadow. That's why it's so important to approach these sensitive topics with grace, self-awareness, and compassion, and a willingness to learn. As Greg Gutfeld put it perfectly, when you spend your life looking for racism everywhere, eventually it finds you. And for Sunny, it was sitting right there in her family tree. So, what's next for Sunny Hostin? Will she confront this irony head-on, or will she continue as if nothing happened? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, this story is going to be talked about for a long time. And who knows, maybe next time she lectures America on history, she'll think twice before throwing stones from her glass ancestral house.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.